Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm Ayunnie Binti Azmi. I'm from M3CS2306B4CSP650. My final year project title is GDM Prep, a mobile application for pre-screening GDM detection using rule-based technique. My supervisor is Madam Nurul Huda Binti Zainuddin. Diabetes in pregnancy is defined as gestational diabetes mellitus (GDM), which is only developed in pregnancy. The prevalence of GDM is increasing all over the world, including Malaysia, which Malaysia is in the 5th rank in Asia with 18.5% prevalence rate of GDM. Those with risk factor are in a high chance of getting diabetes during their pregnancy. During the pregnancy and after birth, GDM can create problems for the mother and infant. But if the disease is diagnosed early, the complications may be minimized. Therefore, early diagnosis of GDM is important to minimize those complications. As a support of Ministry of Health objective of continuing to develop improved screening and management strategies for GDM in Malaysia, this study aims for a development of mobile application of pre-screening GDM detection using rule-based technique, which is able to perform an early diagnosis of GDM based on the risk factor and symptoms of the user. The problem statement of this study is oral glucose tolerance test (OGTT) is a manual test that cannot be tested by the woman itself. In addition, it is an expensive test and it has a poor tolerability that may have an effect on enforcement, especially in the context of nausea during the early stage of pregnancy. Next, currently, there is no mechanism for pre-screening GDM in clinics and hospitals. Pre-screening test is actually the first step in diagnosing GDM in the clinical practice guideline published by the Ministry of Health Malaysia. However, according to Dr. Jamali bin Wagiman, the pre-screening test is conducted in a casual interview only. As a part of preliminary study, a survey have been conducted and distributed among married women who had experience in pregnancy. And the resulting after 188 respondents, it shows that more than half of the respondents, which is 51%, never had a diabetes screening test before pregnancy, and it is about 55% of the respondents find it difficult to know the risk factors and symptoms of GDM. The proposed solution is develop an application on the Android platform using Java programming language. The mobile application will then state the result of the pre-screen, which is the probability of the user to have GDM, with the list of risk factors and symptoms of GDM that present in the user. The application uses Firebase real-time database as for the remote database. The technique that have been implemented in this project is rule-based technique, which represented as a collection of rules that are typically expressed as if-then clauses. The rule-based technique is used to calculate the probability of GDM for the user and to classify the result of the probability of the user between low, medium, or high. This is the use case of the system. It consists of two actors, which is user and developer. The user can sign up, log in, view main menu, view info GDM, do self-check GDM and view result and view the details explanation, and also view the history of the self-check GDM. The developer can manage the rule and manage the info of GDM.
Let's move on to the system demonstration. This is the sign up activity that needs full name, email address and password to register to the application. After the user is successfully registered to the application, they can view the home activity. The home activity consists of several buttons to other activity. Now let's try to sign in again with registered information. There will be error message if the user insert wrong info with the registered ones. Hold on. Next, for the info GDM activity, it will view the info of the GDM prep. Back to the home activity. For the My Profile activity, the user can view the registered email to the application. Move on to the self-check activity. The user need to answer to every question based on their current condition. The question is about risk factor and symptoms. After the question have been answered and the application have calculated the probability of the user and classify, it will view the result. It will also view the risk factor and symptom that are present in the user. For the detailed explanation button, the application will view explanation on each risk factor and symptoms of GDM. After we have reviewed each explanation of the risk factor and symptom, we can also view the history of previous GDM, also view the risk factor that resulting in such probability, and view again the detailed explanation of each probability. Now let's sign into the different registered user to have their probability of GDM. Each risk factor will affect the probability of GDM, which is either in the class low, medium or high. As example, for this user, she needs to answer for the symptom section. This is because she is now pregnant with a high probability in risk factor section. For the result, she has a medium class of probability of GDM. This is because the algorithm also calculated for the symptoms present in the user. In addition, if the user have more than 27 kilo per meter square of BMI, the user will automatically has a high chance of GDM. For example, for this current user, she has an overweight BMI. For the current user self-check, the user is now pregnant and have a high risk of probability of GDM. This is because she is experiencing many of risk factor and symptom of GDM.
I believe that this project is significant to the community, especially for the reproductive age of women. Firstly, to the pregnant woman in early phase of pregnancy. Second, for married couple who try to conceive, and for local clinical practice management team, as the user can just answer to all of the question in the self-check function to have their probability to have GDM. For pregnant women in early phase of pregnancy, when they have their probability, it will encourage them to seek to the healthcare provider as early as suggested by Ministry of Health. While for married couple who try to conceive, the probability will help them to identify what risk factors that are present in their self. When they have their probability, they can prepare themselves to get pregnant in a healthy status, which they can get advice from pre-pregnancy care team. With that, it's help in reducing morbidity and mortality of the maternal child. As a conclusion, the development of this application will provide the user in identification of their health status for a good outcome of pregnancy. With this, I hope GDM PrEP will increase their awareness in GDM, which indirectly prepare them for a good health status before and during the pregnancy. For the future work for this project is to implementing geofencing, which is to have the nearest location of the health clinic in the mobile application. That's all from me. Thank you.